Hello everyone, welcome back to my series of videos on project management. This is the third video in the series. In the first two videos, we looked at the what is project management, the basics of project management. That was the first video. In the next video, we talked about project organizations, how are companies organized around projects. And in this video, we'll talk about one of the important pieces of project management, which is taking a larger project, breaking it down into smaller pieces before you're able to, and managing each of the smaller pieces, right? It's a very common thing that you do. Think of a construction project, right? If you have a large construction project where you are building building a large building, or let's say an extension to a factory. Now, this extension is going to be a large room. There's going to be a machine in it. There has to be footing for the machine and all of that. So you have to build the building. You have to build the roof. You have to build an HVAC system. You have to lay the flooring, have the right sort of mounting, and then you have to put the machine on it. Now, all of these are the smaller pieces of the larger project, which is an extension, right? Now, even these smaller pieces might not be enough for us to be able to manage it properly. Build the building. Building the building itself can be broken down into smaller pieces, right? Put up the walls, then paint the walls, and then put the roof on, have a proper roofing. Maybe you need some proper weathering, and you need to have external siding. So there are lots of different individual pieces that need to happen when you say build the building. So you take a project at the larger level, which is at level 1, that's the project. Then you break it up into major tasks, that's level 2. And then you take the major tasks, you make them into subtasks, and finally you get activities or work packages. Now, activities or work packages are at the level where you cannot break them down any further, or you don't want to break them down any further, right? Either way, and then you manage each of these activities together. Then once you break them down into smaller activities, you do a lot of things. You look at relationships between them in the sense that which activities need to be completed before which other activities can be completed. Maybe you need to do 2 different activities before you can start an activity, right? So you establish all of those different activity related relationships. And then from there, you can go on and manage your project, right? So here is a good example, and this is a very common example given with project management, which is software development, right? So if you look at a software development example, let's say that when Microsoft was developing the Windows 11 operating system, that's the main project, develop the Windows 11 operating system. Now this can be divided into 3 major tasks. One is the design of the software, next is the cost management plan, and finally system testing, right? Software design itself can be further broken up into smaller pieces, one of which would be, say, develop the GUIs. Now, within developing GUIs, now what I wanted to notice is that this was at level 1, this is at level 2, so it becomes 1.1, then 1.2, 1.3. This is the usual way in which the numbering is done. Then within software design, there are multiple pieces that need to happen. And one of the pieces is developing GUIs, which becomes 1.1.1, right? Then you can have 1.2.1, which is for cost management plan, design cost tracking reports. For system testing, you can say do module testing, right? So within developing GUIs, you can have a further breakdown into further subtasks, which is ensure compatibility with earlier edition versions. That's one of the work breakdown structures. And then you can have compatibility with Windows 10, compatibility with Windows 8, compatibility with Windows 7, and so on, right? So these are individual work packages. And this is the level at which you'll have. So you'll probably have a team working on making sure that every piece of code that comes out is compatible with Windows 10, one team working on compatibility with Windows 8, and another team, or when I say team, it can literally be one person, or it could be 1 or 2 people, making sure that all pieces of code are reverse compatible with the older version of Windows, right? And that's the idea. So this is called a work breakdown structure. And the work breakdown structure is very common, and we'll see a few work breakdown structures as we go through project management in this class for sure. But once you come up with this breakdown structure, once you come up with these activities, the next thing to keep track of is, well, do all of these activities need to happen one after the other? So once a piece of code is written, right, then you have to compare its compatibility with Windows 10, Windows 8, and Windows 7. 3 different things, right? But these 3 things can happen at the same time. You can have person A working on checking compatibility with Windows 10, person B working on checking with compatibility with Windows 8, but person C working on compatibility with Windows 7, right? They can happen at the same time, or if you have the same person who's doing all 3, they'll have to do it one after the other. So you have to establish this before you start working on a project, right? And to keep track of this, one of the ways in which you can keep track of this is by using something called a Gantt chart. So everything that we have talked about so far is part of project planning. Some of the project scheduling techniques that you can use to sort of schedule the project properly once you come up with a work breakdown structure is a Gantt chart. So Gantt charts are charts that you can use to ensure that all activities are well planned and figure out when they can happen, right? So order of performance is documented, activity times are recorded, and then you can see a visual representation of what a project looks like. Now these were very important back in the day. Remember, before computers or before project management software, a lot of this was done by hand. People kept track of a lot of these things by hand, and Gantt charts are extremely useful. But once computers came out, developing charts was much easier, right? And so if you have any project management software these days, so you go online, search for project management software, don't do that. Because if you search for project management software for the next year, all the ads on YouTube or any of the social media channels that you watch will be about project management software, because there's so many of them out there. Just keep that in mind. I warned you in advance. So there's an example of a Gantt chart for service activities for a Delta's 40-minute layover, right? So you have, these are the main activities. So there are major activities even before that, but they're further broken down into passengers, baggage, fueling, cargo and mail, galley servicing, lavatory servicing, drinking water, cabin cleaning, cargo and mail again. So this is when cargo and mail is offloaded. This is when cargo and mail is reloaded. Flight service, operating crew, baggage and passengers again. So this is embarking, and this is embarking, right? So that's the whole idea of a 40-minute layover for Delta. So as you can see, as passengers are deplaning, baggage claim can happen at the same time. So passengers who got off early can go and claim their baggage early, right? So this is a time estimate. So in this case, it's 10 minutes. So this is a time estimate of when deplaning can happen and when baggage claim can begin. Now, baggage offloading obviously has to happen before baggage claim can begin. But once some of the baggage is offloaded, some of the baggage can also be collected. So there you have that. So some part of these activities can happen at the same time. Now, fueling of the plane, it can happen right after the plane lands. You don't have to wait for people to deplane or baggage or anything to do with any of the other pieces, right? So it can start right away. It takes quite a while to fuel a plane. And then you pump injection water, which obviously needs to happen afterwards. Now, there are other things that need to happen before injection water is pumped. One of the things is fueling. So you have to wait for fueling before injection water is pumped, right? So this way you know that this activity has to happen after this activity, right? And then you have cargo and mail. So they have to be a container offload. So you can offload the containers right away. You can have a different crew working on container offloading. Same with galley servicing. You can have the cabin crew work on galley servicing. Main cabin door, aft cabin door, you can have a dedicated service. So you can have, this is how the main cabin door takes a certain amount of time. After a certain while, you can start working on the aft cabin door. And then lavatory servicing, so all the lavatory servicing, it takes quite a while, but then again, it is not related to any other activity, right? Then drinking water, loading and offloading, right? And cabin cleaning. Now, cabin cleaning cannot happen till at least the passengers are completely offloaded. So you have to wait till the passengers are deplaned, and then you can start with cabin cleaning. But this doesn't have to wait till the very end. Once, say, for example, business class, first class people have left the plane, and they usually leave the plane first, you can start cabin cleaning for the business class and first class as the as the cattle class people, as I like to call them. We are packed in like cattle there, right? So I call them cattle class people. So cattle class people are getting off the plane, right? So those are the regular ticket people. So that's cabin cleaning. Then you have right for the economy section, cargo and mail. So again, now once the cargo and mail has been offloaded. Now you can load the cargo and mail. Right, and so these are the different activities that happen, and this is a Gantt chart, and this is very useful, as you can clearly see, to manage, to figure out which activities can happen before which other activities, and all of that. So all of that is having a Gantt chart is very useful, and it's also useful because it is it's a visual tool, visually useful, visually very important. So that's another important thing about using a Gantt chart, right? Okay. Yeah. So now we'll talk about project scheduling in general. So let me finish with the purposes of project scheduling. Then we'll talk a little bit about project controlling, but maybe I'll do that in the next video. The purpose of project scheduling is it shows the relationship of activities, right? Like I said, you can look at a Gantt chart, you can look at the relationship between activities. And we only talked about Gantt chart, by the way. We haven't talked about the critical CPM, the critical path method, the network representation, any of that. We will do that in a later video, but in this video, we just looked at the Gantt chart, right? It shows relationship among activities. It identifies any precedence relationship amongst activities. It encourages the setting of realistic time and cost estimates, and helps make better use of money, people, and materials, right? So that's the main purpose of project scheduling. It's very important for us to know what our activities are. So a good work breakdown structure is useful. Once the work breakdown structure is done, a good Gantt chart or a good way of looking at how the different activities that you have come up with are related to each other, that's extremely important and extremely useful. Which activities precede which activities? The precedence relationships. Extremely important and extremely useful, right? So all of these come out of product scheduling, and that's where I'll end this video. And yeah, so in this video we basically talked about the idea of a cost breakdown structure. We looked at a Gantt chart, what a Gantt chart generally looks like, and all of that. And in the next video, we'll talk about project controlling a little bit, and then I'll introduce you to the idea of CPM, and that's where we'll end with for this week. Next week, we'll continue with CPM and PERT and all of that. All right. So, but I'll end this video right here. If you have any more questions, feel free to email me. But otherwise, I'll see you all in the next video. All right. Take care.